I'm meteorologist Bill Murray. Here's your Saturday morning weather briefing video for this April the 5th, 2025. And Friday was another hot day across Alabama. Record highs included Tuscaloosa and Anniston, both checking in with new records for the day. Birmingham a couple of degrees short. It was 88 in Tuscaloosa, 87 in Anniston, 85 at the Birmingham airport. But we'll have one more day of really warm temperatures, and then things are going to be turning much colder. These are temperatures across the area. Recording this 10:30 on Friday night. This is the National Blend of Models for Saturday morning, kind of what things should look like when you wake up Saturday morning, showing temperatures generally in the very mild and fairly muggy middle and upper 60s across the entire area. By this afternoon, it'll be quite toasty again. High temperatures in the middle and upper 80s. I don't think anybody hits 90 today, but that's not out of the question for sure. The big story is the severe weather threat for tonight. This is the SPC Day 2, which should look a lot like the Day 1 will look after it comes out after midnight tonight, showing much of Alabama in at least a marginal risk to a slight risk through the overnight hours tonight. And that really starts late this afternoon with some of the storms that work into northwest Alabama, and conditionally a storm that forms over western Alabama by late afternoon could be severe. Just because the conditions are going to be there. We'll have, very decent instability amounts and very, moderate amounts of shear, and damaging winds and hail will be possible, and we can't rule out a few tornadoes. As a matter of fact, some of the analogs look a lot like a November 24th, 2001 event that produced 36 tornadoes across north and central Alabama. And I'm not saying we're going to have that, but I've seen that analog come up a couple of times. They weren't really huge tornadoes. There were a couple of F3s, I think, and several F2s and a couple of F1s, but it was a significant day across Alabama, including an F2 along I-59 out in the Argo-Trussville area that made me think I could chase these things. It was very visible, and that sort of started my interest in being able to chase storms. And so, that was an interesting day for me personally. This really has this extreme gradient on the eastern side because this cuts off at 7 a.m. Sunday morning. The Day 3, picks up where that one leaves off, with the slight risk shifting to areas south of I-59 during the day on Sunday, and we'll see the evolution of that system as we go. As a matter of fact, let's use the HRRR, our convection allowing model, to look at what the future radar may look like through the day today, starting at 7 a.m. for your Saturday morning, showing a boundary, rain-cooled air to the north, and heavy thunderstorm activity. Some of those storms could be strong to severe there from the northern parts of the Mississippi Delta there, northwest of Oxford, back into southern Tennessee, extending up I-40 to areas west of Nashville. Now, as we go through the morning, that boundary slowly sinks southward. Those storms weaken, but with another disturbance moving in from the west, the showers and storms over Arkansas really intensify. Look at those heavy rainfall amounts. That's why the WPC has a large area outlooked again today for your Saturday, and a high risk for excessive rainfall. The thunderstorms will be intensifying by noon over northern Louisiana and southern Arkansas. Some of those storms are going to be severe, and I do in fact think those storms could produce a couple of significant tornadoes during the day today. And going back to the SPC risk, you saw that moderate risk there, and that makes sense. Those storms will be moving out of the Shreveport area as we get into afternoon, tracking along I-20 there toward the Ruston, El Dorado, Arkansas areas. Thunderstorms continue to intensify, some there near the Mississippi River near I-20 around Vicksburg. Southeastern Arkansas got very heavy rainfall into the northern parts of the Delta, and we'll kind of sample those storms in a minute into western Tennessee. Really heavy rainfall amounts. Those storms surge eastward here by 4 o'clock. If this projected radar is right, we'll have really strong storms occurring over northern Mississippi, approaching the Alabama border. You see a few showers forming over west central Alabama here around somewhere around 5 o'clock. If those, can get robust updrafts going, those storms could be severe. With the possibility of an isolated tornado even late this afternoon. So while we expect the bulk of the activity to be later tonight into Sunday, in fact most of the day on Sunday, we'll have to watch these storms. I don't think that chance is really high, but it's something we'll have to watch. The storms move into northwest Alabama there around 4:30, 5 o'clock. Could be a little earlier, you never know, but you see we've got active thunderstorms over the northwestern part of the state. There are parts of Franklin, Colbert, Lauderdale, Lawrence, moving into Limestone counties, into the Huntsville area there by 7 p.m. And you begin to get the idea, and we see this quite a bit in the spring, this rain-cooled boundary slowly sagging to the south, reaching the US 278 corridor there by 8 p.m., with some heavy thunderstorms again coming over the Mississippi border there, east of Columbus and Tupelo, around 9 o'clock. We'll have to watch those storms. They could be severe. The boundary continues sinking to the south into the Birmingham and Gadsden areas there around midnight. It kind of sets up shop there, and we begin to watch the storms to the west. The storms that have moved across the Mississippi River are approaching Jackson by 2 a.m., up to the Tupelo and Columbus areas. Those storms could be severe. They're into northwest Alabama by 3 o'clock. They're continuing to push into the Jasper, Fayette areas, approaching the Tuscaloosa area by 4, 5 a.m. They're up to around Coleman. You can see we're getting a pretty decent band of thunderstorms there, forming into sort of a QLCS that'll be moving across Alabama. But I think there'll be enough discrete cells inside that line, some embedded supercells, that we're going to see a tornado threat through the day. This is 8 a.m. Mid-morning, moving into the Birmingham area. It seems like it almost intensifies a little bit as it pushes to the east through parts of St. Clair and Talladega counties into the eastern part of Alabama there near Anniston, down through Shelby County, down through Chilton County, into places like Wilcox and Dallas counties, moving into the Selma and Montgomery areas. Very heavy rain and thunderstorms continue through the noon hour. We'll have to watch those. Those on the leading edge are the most dangerous ones. Here we are about 1 o'clock. We've got strong thunderstorms from the Pell City and Anniston areas down to Alex City, into the Montgomery, Wetumpka areas, pushing on to the east there toward Tuskegee and Auburn. Alex City, you're still under the gun, up to Ashland, Wedowee there, Randolph County. They're pushing into Georgia finally around 3 o'clock. Maybe a strong storm down in South Alabama near Greenville. Can't rule out a thunderstorm, a tornado even around Greenville and Evergreen in the I-65 corridor as we get into the afternoon. And the band continues to sink and push slowly to the southeast. But the good news is it should increasingly encounter less favorable conditions for severe weather, and that is great news. Just looking at a few of the severe weather parameters, though, surface-based Cape, here by noon today, starting to, it's still not, well, I'm going to move back. I'm one run off where I want to be because the 0Z run goes out further. You see here by, 5 p.m., we've got Cape values of, near 1,500 joules per kilogram over much of central Alabama, with western portions where those colder temperatures aloft are moving in, going over 2,000 joules per kilogram. So that's really very juicy air. But, we get a lot of our tornadoes when those capes are actually a little lower, 1,500, 1,200 joules per cape. We really have to watch it. And you see we have those conditions across western Alabama through the evening hours Saturday night. and that unstable air stays there. Maybe even a little surge to the north during the pre-dawn hours. You see it moving into the I-59 corridor. We've got Cape with us all day, and then actually we see some destabilization, especially if we get some sunshine breaking through during the day on Sunday afternoon. This could be a very active period. On the backside, we've got some instability there with the colder air moving in aloft. But I don't think we've got very much in the way of precipitation at that point. Let's just go back and sample. Yeah, we got a few instability showers there. Nothing really spectacular. No real lightning. Maybe some lightning over north central Mississippi, so we can't really rule that out. You know, we use this product with a lot of caution. This is the updraft helicity product. You know, and it kind of shows where you have that combination of vorticity or spin in the atmosphere, the helicity, and, you know, instability. And you see, you know, these storms are, you know, really getting cranked up, you know, over central Arkansas during the pre-dawn hours, moving into northwestern Louisiana. Looks like some really active storms there during the mid-afternoon over the Mississippi Delta, centered right on the Mississippi-Tennessee border. Some areas that were hard hit earlier this week, perhaps moving into the extreme northeastern part of Mississippi, you know, up there around Iuka, up in Tishomingo County, areas around there in northeastern Mississippi. We'll have to watch those very carefully. Some form right there near Columbus, Mississippi, in the 8, 9, 10 o'clock period tonight. Have to watch those as they cross the line into Alabama, over to Lamar and Marion, perhaps into Winston counties. But you see, maybe they don't, you know, really produce significant tornado threats, and that's great. We'll take that. But as we go through the morning, you see, we're going to see, you know, areas that could support a few tornadoes developing, and that's going to continue through much of the day on Sunday. Now, we spent a lot of time there. As a matter of fact, I think what I'm going to do now, I want to go over and kind of take a peek. I want to kind of take a peek now at some sample soundings. This is 12Z, 7 a.m. for Saturday morning. You see Alabama is all clear. We see a few showers, you know, beginning to work their way into west central, southwest Alabama there. This is 4 p.m. No, I'm sorry. This is 22 minus 5, 17. This is, you know, getting to 5 o'clock. You see we've got scattered thunderstorms there, potentially developing from southern Fayette County into Lamar, Tuscaloosa County, Pickens and Tuscaloosa counties, into Greene and hail. Now, you know, what is our atmosphere like here? According to the HRRR, you know, we've got a marginal tornado risk at that point. Good bit of Cape there. The mixed layer Cape about 1,600 joules per kilogram. Just a tiny bit of convective inhibition, maybe holding a lid on things. But if any strong, you know, updrafts get going, it could be a problem. The significant tornado parameter is, you know, fairly low at that point. You know, we'll take that. The storm relative helicity values are low. The 0 to 6 kilometer the 0 to 6 kilometer bulk shear is fairly low at 35 knots. So, you know, we're really not supportive of a significant tornado threat at that point with those cells. But we'll be watching these cells that approach northwest Alabama. Now, you know, let's take something up here around Iuka, Tishomingo County, Mississippi. They're at about, you know, somewhere around 4 p.m. We've got a definite tornado threat there because the storm relative helicity is just much higher, 250 meters squared per second squared. You see that STP, the significant tornado parameter, is over 3, and this is a more significant tornado threat by that point. Now, will those storms be able to hold together into northwest Alabama? They're around Lawrence County, you know, here. As we get into the 6 p.m. hour. Definitely a severe threat still. The difference is the storm relative helicity is still just not very strong. We'll continue to watch that. What if we get an isolated cell down here, southern Coleman, into Blunt, northern Jefferson? Could it be a threat? Yeah, marginal tornado threat. Maybe a little overdone, but we'll be watching. These storms moving into the Delta here. This is at that same time, about 7 p.m. Definitely a tornado threat there. The mixed layer Cape about 1,800 joules per kilogram and nearly 300 meters squared per second squared of helicity. So you're beginning to see some significant tornado supercell values, the significant tornado parameters between 4 and 5. So I do worry that in the Delta we're going to have some problems tomorrow evening. This is approaching Ruston and Monroe, Louisiana. The time here is about 4 p.m. Definitely a tornado threat there. I think there's actually probably an even more significant tornado threat a little earlier. I think I saw some PDS tornado hazard possible types earlier in the day. Now, they may not be showing up on these soundings here, but, definitely a tornado threat. So, going back here again, we get those storms and you see the rain-cooled boundary dropping to the south. Will that rain-cooled boundary support severe weather in the I-20 corridor? Yeah, the hazards are there. The probability is lower. It's a more isolated tornado potential, but it's definitely there. The SRH is lower the further south you go, but that boundary kind of always worries me. Here comes our main line pushing into western Alabama. It's starting to take on that more QLCS shape. Let's sample somewhere near Tuscaloosa here about 6 a.m. in the morning. Definitely a tornado threat, about 1,200 joules a Cape. We've got about 250 meters squared per second squared of 0 to 1 kilometer helicity. So we'll have to watch that very carefully. Also have to be watching out for some hail at that point. Hail may be a pretty significant threat. The lapse rates by that point, let's see if I can put my fingers on the lapse rates here. What they would be. They're going to be, a little more impressive at that point, for sure. So, we'll be watching those values pretty closely as we go through time. Now, what happens on Sunday as this line slowly progresses to the southeast during the day? Down here around Montgomery, this is, forecasted for around 11 a.m. Still a tornado threat for sure. I think that tornado threat begins to wane just a bit, though. Let's sample over here around Tuskegee, somewhere there around 19Z or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the tornado threat becoming more marginal. And the real reason for that is the storm relative helicity is beginning to wane as we go through time. And you see, really, the reflectivity is just getting less impressive as we go through time also. So that's some sample soundings for you there. Let's kind of go back here and get back on the track so we can kind of walk through the rest of the week. This is going to be a really long video. This is the upper pattern across North America off the GFS, the 18Z run from Friday, showing that big, strong ridge of high pressure there over the eastern seaboard, centered there off the coast of Florida and Georgia and South Carolina, continuing to protect us through the morning hours today, but it will be waning and dissipating as we go through time. The system over the southwest will continue to push to the northeast, and we'll phase with our system there over the Great Lakes, becoming progressive and pushing through Alabama and the southeast through Monday and Tuesday. Ridging begins to build it back. We see some much colder air, though. We're going to be flirting with frost around here, especially by Tuesday morning and Wednesday morning. I think Wednesday morning will be the coldest morning of the week. We'll see that in just a minute. Now, the GFS does have another disturbance moving through the Ohio Valley Thursday, and that can bring another round of clouds and rain and thunderstorms. Doesn't really look severe. We'll kind of check that out in just a minute just to make sure that that's really true. But that system cuts off slowly moves on out to the northeast, but will finally begin to warm again as we get into the latter part of the week. This is the GFS for Saturday, confirming, that the low pressure there in southeastern Arkansas will be tracking slowly to the east-northeast. It's centered near Tupelo and Columbus, Mississippi during the pre-dawn hours on Sunday, and we see that main area of rain and thunderstorms slowly pushing across Alabama during the day and into the early evening hours on Sunday, pushing on through. Temperatures Sunday morning are going to be pretty nice. We'll be in the 60s across the entire area, a little cooler than this morning. Afternoon readings will be much cooler. With the rain-cooled air, will be in the 70s, low 70s up north. The only folks that will be in the 80s will be in the I-85 corridor there in east central Alabama. Here's Sunday again, that rain pushing on out and out of here. For Monday, temperatures by Monday morning will look a lot different. We'll be in the 40s over the northwestern quarter of Alabama, around 50 in the I-20 corridor, with middle and upper 50s over southeastern parts of Alabama. But boy, it's going to be a rude awakening during the day on Monday. Upper 50s up north, 60 to 66 degrees across central Alabama. And that's Monday. Let's move on out to Tuesday. Well, let's see. Let me just get in the right spot here. Here's Tuesday. And I want to start with Tuesday morning temperatures. Wow, look at that. Tuesday morning, 35 degrees. Jackson up in Scottsboro in Jackson County. You can see 35 to 38 across the Tennessee Valley, 41 what we're expecting here in Birmingham. So there could be some light frost in some of the more protected areas of North Alabama. Temperatures during the day won't get out of the 50s in the Tennessee Valley. We'll hang in the lower 60s in the I-20 corridor, middle and upper 60s over south, central, and south Alabama. But Tuesday will be dry. We won't have any trouble with rain on Tuesday. Wednesday morning, the coldest morning of the week. We could be as cold as 34. Could see a couple of isolated freezing readings up there in some of the normally colder locations in North Alabama, but 34 at Scottsboro, 35 there at Vinemont, 36 at Haleyville, 35 at Jasper, 39 at Birmingham, 35 over in Talladega, Talladega. This is going to be some pretty chilly air, and that's why we caution you not to plant before tax day, and we still got a week to go before that happens. High temperatures though on Wednesday will be in the upper 60s up north. We'll finally get back to around 70 across central Alabama, and then Wednesday. Looks like we go through the day dry again. We're watching that disturbance beginning to take shape to the northwest. By Thursday morning, temperatures a little bit better, not much better though. Most everybody out of the 30s though, except for those really cold spots. You can see a few spots are probably going to still be in the 30s, but most folks will be in the 40s. And then we'll see that warm up begin with most folks returning to the 70s during the day on Thursday. Here comes that rain. As we talked about just for a moment, looks like it'll be a fairly quick moving system. Rainfall amounts should be fairly light in the half-inch range. By Friday morning, that system will be moving out. We're fairly cool, starting out in the upper 40s up north, lower 50s over south central Alabama. Temperatures in the afternoon between 70 and 76 degrees over north and central Alabama. And then you see the rain is moving out during the early morning and afternoon. By afternoon, it's out of Alabama, and that is setting the stage for what should be a decent warming up weekend. We could see an isolated shower or thunderstorm there, looks like by Sunday and Monday. Moving out into the voodoo period, this is the week 2 forecast period. Looks like another boundary is getting energized to our north, slowly trying to work its way into here. That boundary looks like it's kind of held in place, though, but another cold front moves through Alabama on Thursday the 17th. Oh, there's snow again in Indiana and Ohio. Wow, they just can't get rid of it. Moving through Pennsylvania. Nothing like that for us here in Alabama. We finally dry out by that weekend, and maybe an isolated shower or two is moving through here. Now, this is precipitation off of the GFS, the deterministic model, showing the heaviest rains over the northern third of the state. I think that's pretty reasonable. I think as the system energizes over eastern parts of Alabama tomorrow afternoon on Sunday, they could pick up some pretty decent rainfall amounts. Rainfall amounts generally 2 to 3 inches of rain. It looks like west central Alabama might get cheated a little bit here, more in the 1/2 to 1 inch range. I don't know if that really will be what we can expect, but we'll see. This is temperatures off the national blend of models. You can see things are going to be going downhill quick. We probably don't get out of the 50s on Monday in a lot of places over the northern third of the state. 60s on Tuesday, and we finally begin to warm up there a little bit by Wednesday, and then get some nice moderate temperatures there into the weekend with some warm up beginning after that. Well, that's your weather briefing video for this Saturday morning. It's been fun sitting in for Scott, who's working out at the Barber Motorsports course today, giving race support to the teams and the track officials out there. So good luck to Scott and all the folks out there today at Barber. I'll get to do this again tomorrow. Of course, we'll be covering the weather tonight, from the Weather Center. We probably will do a live stream at some point, depending on, when it becomes clear that the strongest storms are moving into Alabama. And we'll be tracking what I hope will be, a fairly docile event. But this is going to be, again, one of those situations where you're going to want to make sure you check back through the day-to-day to see how the system evolves, and just have your severe weather safety plan ready to go. Have your multiple redundant ways to receive warnings, especially those ways that will wake you up if we have severe weather during the night, especially a tornado warning, and know exactly what you're going to do, where you're going to go. And it can mean the difference between life and death for you and your family. Remember, we want you. If you're watching this video, you're one of us. You care about the weather. And there are a lot of folks who don't pay attention to the weather like we do. And those are the folks that we want you to be an ambassador for. Make sure those folks understand how they can arm themselves, how they can equip themselves. It's always so fun for me when we take someone who has storm anxiety, maybe, and get the chance to educate them, arm them with the tools they need so that they can face their fear and be prepared. Because at the end of the day, as our friend Nick Walker, who used to be with the Weather Channels, always said, don't get scared, get prepared. That's the way to deal with that storm anxiety. Well, I'll have notes on the blog, a complete update on the forecast coming up for you at noon. We'll be having frequent updates through the late afternoon, evening hours, overnight hours, and into Sunday. I'll be here again tomorrow morning with another forecast video for you. James will be back for 2 days all through the week. Scott will be back next Saturday. I'll see you next Sunday. And as I always tell you, till I get the chance to see you again, always keep your eyes to the sky, because you'll have something fun to look at.